So guys, in this session we are going to discuss about the Linux boot process. Now we will learn how to Linux booted. This is the last process in this session. We learn how to install the Linux and manage the GRUB and other things. We are not going to manage the GRUB bootloader, but let's talk about the boot process. What are the boot process in a Linux? Any hardware, the first thing is a BIOS at the time of the booting. Boot sources first. What are the sources for the booting? So either machine can boot with the USB drive. You have the ISO image and you have created a bootable USB drive, so you can boot your system with the help of the USB. First thing. Second thing is, if there is a virtualization machine, so virtualization machine will boot with the virtual file, virtual machine file. Like we are creating the virtual hard disk, so it will just create a virtual machine file, and this virtual machine will be boot with the help of this file. Another is a ISO image. ISO image, you can boot any system with the help of the ISO image. For the example, you have write the ISO image into the DVD or the CD, not CD nowadays, inside the DVD, then you can boot any computer with the help of this DVD. Another boot is a PXE. PXE type of the boot, when actually your device or any boot image exists inside the over the network. So once your computer will start, it will start booting with the PXE. Means your computer will start through the network. Means it will boot through the network. Means the net installation operating system exists on another machine, another location, on the internet, on the network. So when your machine will start, it will start from that particular machine. Another is a PXE is using the PXE type of the, here it is PXE loading the image based on the TFTP protocol. TFTP, actually trivial file transfer protocol, and this is the unsecure protocol, and this protocol is used for downloading the files from the network. Means download the boot image and then boot the system. And also this is a little bit slow rather than using the HTTP, FTP and NFS. Means nowadays the same things used for booting the machine through the network, but the protocol are used HTTP, FTP and NFS. These protocol are used. Boot process, actually everything in the computer maintained by the BIOS. And what is the BIOS? BIOS is just a basic input output service, and there is a one chip over the motherboard, and it is called ROM, read only memory. There is a one small firmware are installed here. So once the computer will start, first the firmware start, and it will check all the connected hardware is working properly or not. If everything is okay, like RAM, processor and other devices, then it will be try to boot. So from where the boot process will be get, like bootloader, first it will check for the GPT. GPT already you know guys, this is the type of the partition which is used in Linux. So GPT actually having the boot flag on particular partition. For the example, there is a one one partition / boot, it have the boot flag. So who will define where is the boot flag? The GPT will define where is the, or MBR, GPT or MBR. It will define where the boot flag exists on which particular partition. So once it will find out the boot flag, it will try to load the bootloader. Bootloader. It will execute next the bootloader. Bootloader will call to the initialization processes and the booting files, or you can say the kernel loaded, and later on the other services is loaded. So the boot process happened in a two steps, first and second step. In a first step, it will boot and load the necessary. So there is a two process. One process is a boot the necessary files which is used. Necessary, not unnecessary. Like it will load only the files which is required to run the operating system, core operating system. Later on, it will, in the second step, it will start some daemons like HTTPS, FTP, SSH, and some other services and processes which will enhance the features of the operating system. So this two processes happen. So come back on the BIOS. So what is the BIOS? BIOS is just a basic input and output. So what is the UEFI? You will find out the full form of this on internet. So this is the advanced version of the BIOS. BIOS has been replaced from the UEFI because it will provide, not only provide the faster speed, it will also provide the security. Security means where you can set the password and boot loading. Without password it not be boot load, and also it will having the encrypted key and check for the hashes, check for the hashes and the image is modified or not modified. Okay, so this is the secure boot. It is also called the secure boot. So understand the bootloader. What is the bootloader? First the BIOS and UEFI executed. Later on it will find out the bootable media. Where is the bootable media is located? It is inside the USB, inside the hard disk, or inside the ISO image or something over the network. It is defined where is the bootable media is exists. Then it will install the primary bootloaders. As I have told you, whenever the boot loaded, it will load the primary bootloader like GRUB from the partition table, which is having the boot flag. Later on, it is started the init rd initial, and then the kernel booted, and then later on the drivers are loaded, and here it is, your system in the front of you. Now when the driver is loaded, then it is going to be mount the partition which are available inside the file. Where is the file? /etc and /fs tab. If you remember, then very good. If you not remember, then go and read it again. And also there is a possibility is the default target, this file which will use the default target and running the services. Services may be any type of the service like HTTP service, SSH, or other services you have enabled by using the systemctl commands. As you know, when you are enabling any service, so this service will start at the time of booting. Another is graphical user interface to display the managing user authenticate. Later on you will provide the username and password. It is authenticate, then the shell will be started. Shell is a interpreter where you will enter any key or any command, so it will provide you the result as per your command. So recognize the boot directory. Where is the boot directory? You go in a Linux and just type the ls/boot, then you will find there is a lots of the configuration files. and also there is a some binary files, and also there is a some image file. So image is similar like ISO image, so it will be there. So these boot directory is contains the files that make the boot process possible. The files is a init.rd, init rmfs image. These are the images, and VM linus is compressed file which containing the container. These are the files. So if you want to check all these files, so go on that particular location and open the file and check it, the content. If you are having the good enough knowledge related to the programming, then you will understand. So summarizing the boot process, what is the boot process? First, the BIOS started, it is loaded the MBR or the GPT, any type of the partition table, then it will tell the system which is where is the boot flag or where is the boot partition. Then it will load the boot. In the case of the Linux, there is a GRUB bootloader, and GRUB bootloader when the started, then it will load the init.rd and kernel. Later on, all the systemd processes and other processes will be started. Systemd is a parent process and other process is the child process of the systemd. So this is the sequence: BIOS, bootloader, kernel and boot scripts. These are the way where the boot process executed.